Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm a musician, artist. I make videos, I make art. I've been doing music since I was about 13. Play guitar, do a bit of piano. Done about 12 albums, maybe 13 actually, with the new stuff. And yeah, wanted to talk about AI, wanted to talk about the technology of it. I know obviously it's the biggest thing since sliced bread at the moment. There's a lot of similarities between the internet, and I know that obviously everyone and their dog is an AI expert at the moment. I think we're at an interesting stage where, you know, as with any new technology, people come out, it comes out, people are using it in different ways. And one of the problems I have, I think 95% of people don't know how to use AI. I think AI is the new paintbrush. I think it's the way people use it. I think it doesn't have to be slop. I think 95% of content generated normally has been slop, from human slop, but not many people talk about that. I think we're in an interesting time because it will radically change a lot of industries. The cost of intelligence is going down, and the democratization of intelligence is increasing. Before, you would have had a job and an expert would have done it, and you know, the cost of intelligence has been traditionally quite high and a scarce resource. While that price is coming down, I don't think AI is as intelligent as people think it is. I think there's a lot of problems and mistakes. So as a creator of this channel, where we're creating beautiful art and beautiful visionary content that we want people to enjoy, I wanted to do a video just to so you guys know that there's a human behind it and it's not just some auto-generated. You know, there's a lot of curation and there's a lot of storytelling that goes on with the Namida Lumina project. I'm not interested in just doing stuff for stuff's sake. This is actually a book that I wrote. I wrote a book called Far Empress, and it's all about a planet called Arcadia and a whole universe that's been built. And I really just wanted people to be able to experience, and I wanted to be able to use the technology that we've got to be able to create the vision and the kind of paint the environments, paint the sounds, paint the universe, and delve into that universe. And now we've got you know, the cost of video production and video content. I've been constantly experimenting with sort of AI video stuff over the last 2 years, and it's been getting better and better. I mean, I remember using stable diffusion, like just an image generation tool, and that wasn't very good when that come out. You know, a lot of people were singing its praises, but you couldn't make many beautiful things with it. And now with some of the tooling that we've got, you can do really good visual stuff. I'm just gonna have a cigarette because it's a beautiful day, right? You can make some really beautiful stuff, and I love all that. I love to be able to create a world, a universe, and the soundscapes and the environment and how that makes you feel. And you know, I love writing good songs. Yeah, like as a musician, like I always think like writing a cracker, a banger of a song. How do you write a banger of a song? Most people don't know how to make a really good song. You know, a love song. Love songs are, you know, songs that evoke emotion and reveling in emotion. Emotion's what makes us human, right? So, you know, I know there's a big backlash against AI and stuff. I don't really care. You know, if people feel that way, that's up to them, because 95% of content is shite anyway. and that's just what the reality is. And there's human rubbish and there's machine generated rubbish. It's people not knowing how to use the technology. It's like playing guitar, you know, you're either really good at guitar or you're not, or you don't know how to use a guitar to make a beautiful sound. And I think the majority of content that's out there is slop. People, it's a paintbrush. I said it earlier. I said AI is a paintbrush. You're using AI as a means to an end, not as the means itself. You know, so if you have a vision, if you have something where you're thinking, I've got this concept, I've got this idea, I've got this notion, I've got this tune, I've got this feeling that, you know, I might use AI, I might not, you know, and because of the cost of production musically and visually is going massively down with this technology that's out, the age of the ideas man is back, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if you've got ideas, if you've got a vision, then you can be using these technologies to create that. And I think that's the core fundamental principle guiding my process that I'm trying to do, yeah, with the Namida Lumina project. And it's a bit like a virtual band, actually. That's the nearest thing I can ask it for, that I could say that this was, because I'm essentially creating characters that don't actually exist but are archetypes. And the reason we've got these characters is to portray and build upon the backstory of the universe in the books, so we learn more about the characters. The characters are self-evolving in real time, yeah. So I'm kind of making this and I'm thinking, oh yeah, this fits with this and this fits with this and this person is this, and there's Easter eggs ahoy, you know, there's loads of Easter eggs in it where I'm thinking, oh yeah, I've already started writing the second book, I'm already thinking of characters. I've pretty much wrote all the 10 chapters out in terms of the synopsis of them. I've just got to go into the detail, but even that is being informed by what I'm doing with the music and the video stuff. So back to the and the reason I wanted to do this video was to let any of the viewers out there know that there's a real human being behind the content, and it's not just being not thought about and just slopped out, yeah. So yeah, there's an argument that the quality of it isn't as good because, you know, video, it's very difficult to generate a long form video and very expensive, and to have the talking and the sound effects, you have to do the sound design separately and then merge it together. Whereas you know, the fact that we can even create characters, the way that we're visualizing them is magnificent in itself. So I've got no problem with AI content unless it's good content. And I think the reason I want to do this video is because obviously this is big. Well, there's an eagle flying over at the moment. The reason I want to do this video is because that's what a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people are essentially scared, you know. People are always scared of new technology. That happened with the internet. When the internet came out, you know, the internet's been out since 70s or 60s or whatever, but it only really got going at sort of late 90s. And I remember early 2000s, I managed to get onto Facebook in the really early days. And you know, people were saying the same thing, you know, like the internet's going to destroy the world, or, you know, year 2000 clock when all that stuff was happening. But it's just a new medium, yeah. If we're looking at it from the philosophy, or not philosophy, of the media theory of Marshall McLuhan, you know, technology is an extension of ourselves. You know, the wheel is an extension of your foot on a car. You know, a drill is an extension of your hands. You know, media is media, yeah, and media can be good and bad, you know. And I think we've got to have a bit of indifference about what a medium is. And yeah, AI ain't gonna stop, and AI will revolutionize the world. And there's lots of bad things and there's lots of good things, and I think a lot of people are quite scared about, and they should be, in terms of what their jobs are, because when the cost of intelligence goes down, how does that play out into careers? You know, white collar jobs, I think, are going to be some of the first to be changed, you know. And this is why when I said it's the age of the ideas man, meaning the ideas that people have, the notions that people have are even more important now. And what do I mean by that? I mean that, you know, before intelligence is so expensive, yeah, and it still is. You're still going to need a human making a decision. You ain't going to let a robot do a heart operation. But what about if there's a doctor who's decides to use that medical procedure? Then, you know, there's not going to be many doctors doing medical procedures, but there will be robots doing them. So that's an example of how you still will need classical experts directing things and doing things, but their productivity is going to increase through the extension of AI technology. And that's just the robotics example. But I think that the cost of intelligence going down is actually a good thing, because that means the accessibility of information, correct information, and that's notwithstanding all the problems of a woke AI and the dangers of there being a woke AI. But the fact that with the democratization of intelligence, more free intelligence is able to be given to people, and you know, you can do more things. You could learn how to do gardening, you could learn how to do bricklaying, you could, you know, physical things. Elon Musk's, didn't he say, he said something like, you know, you're still going to need humans to move matter, because robots don't move matter at the moment. A robot can't sew a needle yet, can't crack an egg. But how long before that happens? Is that 30, 40 years? You know, this is the kind of world we're heading into. And, you know, I could do with 10 robots that were doing the gardening, you know, or building or doing carpentry, or doing a project that I want to build me a new music studio, yeah? And then I haven't got to use my crappy little office, you know, that's falling apart. And look at what I can do with my office, with all the content that I can make, right? So, you know, it's a good thing that robots are coming out, and that we're going to have artificial intelligence doing a lot of the... I'm not advocating that robots do all your thinking for yourself. That's the problem. People are using it on, you see them on X, and I was just speaking to this with a good friend of mine that, you know, people are just spouting rubbish, you know, and you look at it and you think, man, you ain't even thinking that. You ain't even really thinking about that stuff and discussing it. You're just asking AI and it's giving you an output, and you've posted it on social media. You know, there's a big similarity between the crypto bros and the AI bros. You know, you're seeing people going, oh yeah, AI's revolutionising my workflow. AIs are now doing my employees. I don't need no employees. And you look at what they're doing and you think, all you're doing is just waking up and living a calendar that's given to you by an AI. You're already doing what AI tells you to do, you know what I mean? So I think that, you know, 95% of what people are doing with AI, people don't know how to use it yet. And that's not 95% of the output of everything from AI is rubbish. You know, you have to really iterate and craft your prompts and whisper to the machine and get it to do what you really need it to do. And you know, it's like that joke when people sort of, oh, should I split up with my boyfriend? You know, and the AI says, yeah, split up with your boyfriend, you know, ruin your life, you know, or something like that. So that's the way people are using the technology. And that's something that I don't really care about, really. I'm more excited by the possibilities of the technology and what it could be done from a creative point of view. I think, oh, you know, I can build this, I can do this, I can say this, I can craft this using this technology in this way. This is the vision that I've got, and this is what I'm thinking I could do with it. Yeah, you know, people are not using the technology to its fullest extent. People are still using it on a very shallow basis at the moment. But we're lucky to have the technology like that, I think. You know, and look at some of the technology that's coming out with video generation. I mean, you know, Hollywood, anyone that complains about AI in slop doesn't know what they're on about, really. People are scared. People are just going, oh, you know, the AI, everything AI is slop. People don't know how to view content as well, you know. And I've seen so much human slop. There's no difference to me. I look at it and I think, maybe that's a very cynical way of looking at it, but it's based in reality, really, which is most content and stuff that people say is worthless. There's no thinking behind it. It doesn't mean anything. It's you know, it's not good for humanity. Maybe I'm an idealistic in that regard, that I do think, oh, you know, how can we use a technology? And that's the fallacy of what the crypto bros, you know, originally Bitcoin was all about transforming global economy and revolutionizing economic prosperity for everyone. But now everyone's just chasing token prices, pump and dumps, and it's all scammy, like a pyramid scheme. And it's so toxic, you know, there's no progress. There's no one in the normal world is taking it seriously, and it's not going to make any transformational change to humanity. And I see a lot of AI bros falling into that same regard. And, you know, like I said with the analogy of people living in, you know, cheering, going, oh yeah, you know, I've revolutionised my workflow and all this lot, and all they're doing is they've just got a load of AIs twirling numbers, and it's not really making any, you know, difference to their life or, you know, the world in general. And that's why I've kind of leaned in really hard with this creative project temporarily, is that, like, I actually do want to create something really beautiful. I want to create a vision, and that's up, and I'm enjoying it. I'm vibing, you know, doing my little project, and yeah, it's as simple as that, really. So I wanted to give you a little perspective, something a bit more authentic, so you know that there's a human behind it all. And until next time, have a lovely day. Au revoir.